We're going to spend 2 days looking at domain and range. So today is the intro, and then we'll review it tomorrow. So definitions, domain are all possible x values, which we're looking at the independent variable, and range are all possible y values, looking at the dependent variable. So here's an example of some data. We have points scored by the winning team in the Super Bowl. We have the year and the points scored. So the question would be, what's the independent variable? And hint, usually in a graph, or always in a graph, the independent variable is the horizontal. Independent. And the dependent is the y-axis. So we have independent, dependent. So if I ask you, what are all the possible x values? Well, in this graph, it goes from 1960 to 2010. So let's put that here. 1960, and it's the x values. So we can say x is between 1960 and 2010. And the inequalities just mean that 1960 is the lowest and 2010 is the highest, and x is everything in between. And it can equal 1960 and it can equal 2010. Okay, the domain in this graph, so actually I could have just put right here. Oh, okay, so what I meant to put here is the x values are years, and I should have put the domain here. So it goes from 1960 to 2010. So there's the domain. Domain are all possible x values, and we can see from our graph it goes from 1960 to 2010. All right, we can talk about the y values. The y values are the points scored. All right, and the range on this graph, we can say that the graph shows from 0 to 60. You could be more specific. I mean, really there's nothing between these two lines right here, so we could say maybe it's like 11 to 56 maybe. So you can be more specific, but if you look at just how the graph is scaled, we can use that too. So the range are the y values that we see in the graph, and y is between 0 and 60, or more specifically 11 and 56. Okay, the following line graph displays the world record times for the mile run over the 49-year period. Again, our independent variable is on the bottom, dependent on the side. So here the time in minutes, the record depends on the year. And again, the x values are the years. And this graph shows from 1950 to 2000. So what this inequality means is x can be anywhere between 1950 and 2000 and include them. And that's what the equal sign means. The y value is time. Okay, so then the range, again, you can be more specific. We could say from here to here. So it looks like 3.43. And that goes up to maybe 4.03. You could be more specific, less specific. I would accept from like 330 to 406. So the top one's more specific, just looking at the actual data. All right, so domain, all possible x values, range, all possible y values. Let's just take a look at how you would write that for a graph. Okay, so for domain color, I have purple, I'll just use purple. And the range color, I'll just use green. Okay, so for domain, we want to look what's the lowest x, what's the highest x. So for this graph, the lowest x is over here, and the highest x is here. So it goes from here to here. And that is a -4 to a +2. So we say x is between -4 and 2. Here's how we write it. -4 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 2. So this inequality just means x is between -4 and 2. All right, let's do the range. Range is all possible y value. So the lowest y value looks like at -2, and it goes all the way up to 4. Okay, so right here, it goes from -2 to 4. And range is y values. So we can say y is between -2 and 4. All right, let's go to next graph. Again, I'll do domain in purple. So here's our lowest x. Here it goes all the way up here to our highest x right here. All right, so we see our domain goes from -6 to +6. Range, we're looking at y values. Our lowest range looks like it starts at 0 and it goes all the way up to 1, 2, 3, 4 to 6. So we say y is between 0 and 6. All right, the next one, our domain, it starts over here at -7, and it goes all the way to +5, but this open dot means it cannot include +5. So here's what that would look like. It starts at -7, and x can be -7, so you have the little equal sign underneath. And it goes up to, but doesn't include 5, so it can be less than 5, but not equal to 5, so there's not an equal sign underneath the inequality. And then we have our range. So range is the y values, so the lowest to the highest y value. Looks like it goes from -3 to +1. And it can't be 1, so we won't put the equal sign under. So this means it goes from -3 to 1, but doesn't include 1. Okay, let's take a look at D. Domain all possible, or x values. Okay, so this one, it starts at 0, doesn't include 0, but then it's everything higher. Okay, so it can't be 0, but it can be greater than 0. So here, x is greater than 0. You can also write it like this. Okay, so x is greater than 0. The range here, the only y value on this graph is 4. So the y goes 4. Okay, let's try a few more. Oh, we got a circle here. Okay, so domain looks like it goes from -4 to +4. And the range looks like, again, it goes from -4 to +4. But now we're looking at y values. All right, the next one, this sideways parabola here. Domain, it looks like it starts at 0 and then it keeps going. So again, x is greater than 0, or you can say 0 is less than x. And it can be equal to. Notice can equal 0, so stick the equal sign there. And then the range, now notice these arrows will just keep going forever up and forever down. So if it can be any number, positive and negative and 0, we say that's all real numbers. And a real number is anything you can think of on the number line. So positive, negative, decimals, fractions, they're all real numbers here. So all real numbers because it will go everywhere up, will go everywhere down, it will hit every number. Okay, we got 2 left, and then you guys will give this a try in class. So domain, all possible x values, it goes this way to this way. So it looks like it goes from -4 to +2. And the range, again, it looks like it goes from -2 to +4 this time. And we're looking at y values. Okay, next one, domain, going this way. It goes from -3. Oh, there's an open dot here, so it doesn't include, so no equal sign. And then 4 is the highest, 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. And then the range goes this way. It starts at 0 and goes up to, but doesn't include 5. Okay, so we've done several examples of domain, which is all possible x values, and range, which is all possible y values. So your assignment is similar to this. You can give it a try.